Korean food has taken over the world as a healthy and savory East Asian cuisine enjoyed by many. Some particular Korean dishes such as tteokbokki, bibimbap, bulgogi, and kimchi have joined other Korean culture exports as an enormous industry. These foods have a history spanning centuries, and much like food from other cultures, many have changed drastically over time. Would a person living in Joseon or Goryeo recognize Korean food today? What are the roots of some of these foods? Before modern Korean cuisine, what did the average person eat? Today, let's answer the question of, how did Korean food change so much? Korea has had a rather unique cuisine throughout history. Fermentation has been one of the most widely used techniques for centuries, which can be seen today in the modern forms of foods like kimchi, doenjang, or fermented soybean paste, ganjang, Korean soy sauce, and 젓갈, or fermented seafoods. But there is a very specific reason why Koreans rely so much on fermented dishes, and it all comes down to geography. 70% of the entire Korean peninsula is mountainous, meaning there is very little room for farmland. Crops like rice and cultivated vegetables simply could not be grown in the amounts needed to feed the people. This, combined with Korea's extremely long and harsh winters, meant that food had to be preserved. Being surrounded by ocean on 3 sides, this means that for the most part, fish was the most common protein source, even for people living inland. Soybeans also grow exceptionally well on the Korean peninsula, which is why soybean-based foods were so plentiful. Together, fermented foods, seafood, and what could be naturally found on the peninsula served as the backbone of the Korean diet for centuries. So, what did the average pre-modern Korean eat day to day? Of course, the menu was different for the various social classes, but the average person ate very simple meals. White rice, while common today, was incredibly expensive and rare before the modern day, with only the most affluent being able to consume it regularly. Instead, the average person ate various other grains such as barley, millet, and beans, with actual rice only ever eaten for special occasions when it could be acquired. Meats were also very expensive, which meant the aforementioned fish and tofu stepped in for a person's protein needs. Chickens and pig were also expensive to raise, and cows were more widely used for labor, thus making it extremely rare and expensive. Foraged seasonal plants, known as namul, were picked fresh and seasoned or used in soups, making a full meal. Kimchi, which is fermented cabbage, was also a staple in Korean homes, often made seasonally by the women of the household. While these meals may seem quaint and rather barren by today's standards, they crafted the backbone of Joseon and would continue to evolve over centuries into what we now know as Korean food today. By far, the most recognizable food in Korean cuisine is kimchi. Kimchi, made from Napa cabbage fermented with fermented fish sauce, salt, and red pepper flakes, is very prevalent throughout history. While its fiery red color is famous, kimchi was not always this way. Red peppers are not native to Korea, or even Asia for that matter. In fact, they started to spread throughout the world from the Americas after Christopher Columbus made his trips there, with it starting its global spread from merchants there. Portuguese and Spanish sailors spread it throughout trading networks, where it eventually spread through India, China, and Japan, where it eventually found itself in Korea. It wasn't until the 17th century that the red pepper variety of kimchi started appearing in historical agricultural records. So, how did Koreans make kimchi before its signature ingredient? It was known as baekgimchi, or white kimchi, and it is still eaten today. It was made in a similar manner, but using a brine along with sweet notes coming from ingredients such as Asian pear, chestnuts, or jujubes, giving it a more sweet and sour flavor. Baekgimchi is often eaten during the summer, alongside grilled meats and as a palate cleanser during meals. Another famous Korean food known throughout the world is tteokbokki, rice cakes covered in red pepper paste sauce served with fish cakes and cabbage. These days, it falls into the category of snack foods, often served in roadside stalls and in small dining establishments. However, its origins trace back to royal court cuisine and was considered a luxury food. Originally known as 궁중 tteokbokki, or royal court stir-fried rice cakes, like kimchi, it was also originally prepared without the use of red pepper-based ingredients. Thin slices of rice cake, lean cuts of marinated beef, a variety of vegetables and spices were stir-fried using a sauce base of soy sauce and sesame oil. Given the expensive ingredients used, it was mainly used as one of the many dishes served during royal meals, and the common person would not have been able to enjoy it. The red version we have today is actually a modern invention, with most believing it to trace back to one person. In 1953, Mabongnim, a Seoul street vendor, accidentally dropped rice cakes into gochujang, or red pepper paste, and decided to try selling it. It eventually caught on, and it slowly gained popularity. With the falling in prices for products like red pepper, rice cakes, and eggs, it evolved into the form we know today. With its cheap price and known for being very filling, tteokbokki has become one of the most famous Korean foods not only in Korea, but around the world. There is perhaps no one Korean cuisine that has helped the initial push of Korean culture globally than that of chicken. With its famous crispy skin and variety of sauces, modern Korean fried chicken has become one of the most renowned fried chicken types all around the world. But as you might expect, fried chicken did not exist until recently, with Korean people from the past enjoying different types of chicken dishes. Before the modern day, chicken was considered somewhat of a special occasion dish, given that chickens were used to lay eggs as opposed to a meal item. For the everyday person, chicken was eaten for special occasions like holidays, when a guest visited, or when the chicken was no longer capable of laying eggs. Chicken was often found as a centerpiece dish for 제사, or ancestral rites, or for weddings. When it was eaten, it was often boiled, used in soups like samgyetang, or occasionally grilled. While it is still eaten like this today, Korean fried chicken is by far the most eaten. Following the Korean War in the 1950s and the station of American soldiers in Korea, they brought deep-fried techniques with them. In the following decades, simple fried chicken recipes began to permeate the Korean palate, and in the 1980s, experimentation brought about the creation of sauces, known as yangnyeom. Made from a gochujang and sugar base, this flavor became the flagship signature of Korean chicken flavors even to this day. Frying techniques were eventually elevated when chicken restaurants started using corn or potato starches in their coating and utilizing the double fry method, which were the techniques used to create Korean fried chicken's signature crispy texture. Ever since then, many Korean chicken chains have emerged globally with a huge variety of sauce flavors, including soy sauce, cheese, honey, green onion, and more. While fried chicken in its most basic form is available to elites in North Korea, for the most part, chicken is still eaten in more traditional ways, showing the stark contrast of the presence of the introduction of culinary techniques. Chicken was perhaps one of the most impactful influences on the spread of Korea worldwide, and it continues to do so with its crispy, delicious flavors. Modern Korean cuisine has now taken center stage as healthy, often spicy foods that both test and please the palate of people around the world. Like other cuisines, it evolved in fascinating ways, many times in unrecognizable fashion. The presence of both modern Korean food and its historical counterparts in modern Korean cuisine creates a culture that lives both in the past and in the present. As Korean food spreads throughout the world, there is no doubt that international influence will create more iconic and delicious foods in the future. If you like this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe so you can see more videos just like this.